This is Jarrod Horak for the RunawayHorse.com, and this is my final video for this week, Saturday, January 30th, 2021. We just did a couple Kentucky Oaks points races. I did a Kentucky Derby points race, the Holy Bull Stakes, and now I'm going to do the Robert Lewis Stakes from Santa Anita Park. The Robert Lewis Stakes is going to be race 7, Saturday, January 30th. The Grade 3 Robert Lewis Stakes, 3-year-olds, 1 mile and a 16th on the main track with a post time of 6:37 p.m. Eastern Time. This is going to be my 13th Kentucky Derby 2021 video. Now through the first 11, I had 3 winners, a second, and 4 thirds with my top choice. And I did the Holy Bull was my 12th video, and now this is going to be my 13th Derby video, and we're going to cover all the remaining races too on the road to the Derby. Let's jump into the Robert Lewis Stakes now. Number 1 is Medina Spirit, trainer Bob Baffert. This one's 5-2 morning line, and Bob Baffert's won this Robert Lewis Stakes 8 times over the years, I think including 4 of the last 6 winners. So typically he does well in this race. Now an interesting stat is all those horses that won the Robert Lewis Stakes for him, none of them ended up winning the Kentucky Derby. I think Pioneer of the Nile was his best finisher, where he won the Robert Lewis and he was second in the Derby. But typically Baffert's top 3-year-olds don't end up in this race, or at least the ones that end up being the top 3-year-olds in the Derby. But number 1 is Medina Spirit, probably the one to beat. Looked good in the debut, 5.5 furlongs at Los Alamitos on December 11th. Battled on the pace, pulled clear to win by 3 lengths. He stretched out from 5.5 furlongs to 1 mile at Santa Anita in the Grade 3 Sham Stakes. Now Life is Good was his stablemate, and he was the overwhelming favorite in that race. And Medina Spirit removed blinkers that day. Life is Good got out there, controlled the pace, was in complete control of the race. Medina Spirit was just sitting in second. And then Life is Good got a little goofy in the stretch, maybe got a little tired late. And then Medina Spirit made a late run and finished 3/4 of a length behind. It was a good effort, and it was 13 lengths to the show finisher Parnelli. So the top 2 for Baffert ran well in that race. That race earned a good speed figure. It was a 5-horse field, but now we're going to find out how strong that race was as Medina Spirit comes back in this spot. And from the inside post, I would expect that he's probably going to try to go straight to the lead. Now, interesting thing about this one, they only spent $35,000 for him, so a bargain purchase for a Baffert trainee. And we'll see if he can continue on the road to the Derby with a good effort here. The 2 Rombauer, 8-1 morning line. Mike Smith is going to ride, and Mike Smith rode this one 1 time in his 4 starts, and he rallied to finish second in the Grade 1 American Pharoah Stakes under Smith. That was last September, and Spielberg, who's also in this race, was 5 lengths behind him in third. And then the last time this one ran was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He was out in post 13 in a 14-horse field. He raced wide from off the pace. He finished 5th, beaten 6 lengths. Now, he doesn't have any speed. He likes to sit back and make a late run. Now, in his career debut, he won a turf route. So they started this one on turf, and then when they switched to the main track, he's done okay in 2 starts. And we'll see how he does from off the pace. 3 is Parnelli. He's 12-1 morning line, and he gets a new rider. Drayden Van Dyke rode him in his 5 starts, and in those 5 starts, he finished in the top 3 each time with a win, 3 seconds, and a third. That third in the Sham Stakes last time, as he was my value top choice there, but he just couldn't keep up. He was well beaten third. He was never at any point that he looked like he was going to get near the top 2, but he was well clear of the rest. He was 6 lengths clear of the rest there. Now, he was in pretty solid form before that. He's got plenty of experience around 2 turns. He's got some tactical speed. Rispoli is going to ride this time. Good rider at Santa Anita, winning at over a 31% rate at Santa Anita. And look for Parnelli to try to get closer to the pace this time. In all of his good efforts, he was right up on the pace. Last time, he just could not keep up with the Baffert trainees early, and I think that Rispoli might try to get him involved a bit earlier. Number 4 is Hot Rod Charlie. He's 3-1 morning line, and it took him a little bit of time to get going, but when they started to stretch him out on dirt and added blinkers, he started to turn things around. So his first couple starts were at 5 furlongs, his career debut on dirt. They moved him to turf at 5 furlongs. He was third, second time out. Stretched him out on turf, and he finished 5th in a 10-horse field. So he split that field, not a bad effort. Then they added blinkers. They moved him back to dirt in a dirt route at Santa Anita on October 2nd. The pace was very slow. He was up on that pace, and he won by a neck. He beat Parnelli there, and it was more than 16 lengths back to the show finisher. So Hot Rod Charlie and Parnelli ran well in that race, and then Hot Rod Charlie parlayed that effort into a runner-up finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at 94-1 odds. So that was a huge effort in the Breeders' Cup from post 12, rallying from off the pace. He was actually right there and practically in the lead in the stretch, but he just ended up finishing second, 3/4 of a length behind Essential Quality. And show finisher was Keep Me in Mind. And Keep Me in Mind came back and he won the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes. So we're going to see overall how strong the Breeders' Cup Juvenile was as we get into this year and we see more of these horses come back and run. But Hot Rod Charlie did make nice progress later on in his 2-year-old season. The 5 Roman Centurion, he's 8-1 morning line for trainer Simon Callahan. They paid $550,000 for this one. His 6.5 furlong debut, he was a long shot. He finished 4th, beaten 12 lengths in that sprint. Life is Good was the winner, Wipe the Slate was second, and they were both next out winners. And then Roman Centurion was also a next out winner. So that was a key maiden race from November 22nd at Del Mar. So Roman Centurion at 1 mile and a 16th last time at Santa Anita. He rallied from 9th place in a 10-horse field to win going away. He won by almost 4 lengths. So he certainly improved over a route of ground, and we're going to see how good he is. Decent pedigree. They paid a lot for him. Empire Maker the sire, Bernardini the dam sire. Bred to run all day. Callahan a good trainer. Juan Hernandez rides back. There's some things to like from off the pace. The 6 Waspirant, 20-1 morning line for trainer John Sheriffs, and he's 0-2 at Santa Anita. He's 1-4 overall, and he looked good in that debut when they in the second time out in that victory after finishing 4th by 13 in the debut, and Spielberg was second there. In that second career start at 1 mile at Del Mar, he stalked the pace. He won nicely by 3/4 of a length. Then they ran him in the American Pharoah Stakes. They added blinkers. I made him my value top choice there. He was 6-1, and he made a middle move to get to within 3rd by a length, and then he weakened. He was 4th by 10. So in that race, it was a bit disappointing. So then they took the blinkers off in the Sham Stakes, and he chased the pace, and he just ended up finishing 4th by 19. He wasn't really involved. So he's going to definitely have to run faster in here. I like his sire, Union Rags. He was one that I was a fan of, but so far he hasn't proven to be stakes quality. Number 7, Wipe the Slate for trainer Doug O'Neill. He's 4-1 morning line, and he's one that really improved second time out. In his career debut, he ended up running into Life is Good, and Life is Good won by 9 lengths there. And Wipe the Slate chased. He was sitting in 3rd, and he was able to grab 2nd. So that was a good effort in the debut. And then they stretched him out from 6.5 to 7 furlongs. Opening day, December 26th at Santa Anita. From post 6 in a 7-horse field, he chased the pace outside, steadily pulled clear, won by more than 3 lengths, adding blinkers in that race. So that was a good effort, and I like the pattern. The nice distance progression from 6.5 to 7 to 1 mile and a 16th. Nyquist, the sire, could certainly go this far. He won the Kentucky Derby. So here's one that should be on the pace, and it looks like he should be ready to route after those 2 good sprints. Finally, number 8, Spielberg. He's 7-2 morning line. He's Baffert's second entrant, and he's capable of winning this race. He's run 6 times, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a 3rd, and he was very busy, certainly as a 2-year-old, running 6 times. They paid $1 million for this one, and he was a bit disappointing overall in his 2-year-old campaign. He was 2nd in his debut. They put him in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. He finished 2nd. They ran him in the American Pharoah Stakes, stretched him out. He finished 3rd, wasn't close to the top 2. And then they put him back in the maiden ranks. He broke his maiden by a neck over Parnelli. Then in the Bob Hope Stakes, he came back 2 weeks later after breaking his maiden, and then he cut back in distance. He was 4th by 9 as the heavy favorite in that race. And then the Los Alamitos Futurity, he stalked the pace, and he won by a desperate nose. Now, originally looking at that race, the Great One, he beat by a nose, and the Great One was a maiden. And you got to figure he was all out to beat a maiden in that stakes race. But then the Great One came back and broke his maiden by 14 lengths. I just made him one of my hot prospects, and I did that in my other video in the Holy Bull. And the Great One is on my Derby list. So Spielberg is one that he's got the potential. That last race looks a bit better now than it did at that time. I like his tactical speed. Flavien Prat's going to ride back. So an outside stalking trip is likely. Would not be shocked if Spielberg ran well in here. Some others, Roman Centurion, he could continue to progress. Don't know if he's going to get enough pace help, but I think he can hit the board. Hot Rod Charlie, I don't know if I will only play him at 3-1 after he was 94-1 in the Breeders' Cup, and this is his first start of the year. I think Parnelli can go better, but he's going to definitely have to go better. Rombauer, maybe underneath. Medina Spirit, certainly the one to beat. If anyone's picking him on top, don't disagree with that. I don't see any other strategy for him, but just try to go to the front from the rail and try to wire the field. But for a little bit of a price, I'm going to go with the 7, Wipe the Slate, as my top choice for trainer Doug O'Neill. This one, I like that progress he showed from start 1 to 2. No, not embarrassed at all, finishing second to Life is Good in the debut. And then he was able to get away from that one and win nicely second time out. So now those 2 sprints to a route, classic pattern for stretching out in distance. He'll be up on the pace. I think he's going to be chasing Medina Spirit, and if Medina Spirit just doesn't run as well as he did last time, maybe Wipe the Slate can get the jump on the closers and upset this field, a mild upset. So number 7, Wipe the Slate, my top choice in the Robert Lewis Stakes at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, January 30th. Now, if you're interested in reading my Kentucky Derby blogs, I just updated my Kentucky Derby blog, and you can see those Derby and Oaks blogs at therunawayhorse.com on my Kentucky Derby page. Full card analysis each day from Santa Anita, plus bonus stakes races at the Runaway Horse, and then also free stakes picks from Aqueduct and Santa Anita. You can find all of that at therunawayhorse.com. That will wrap up all my videos this week. I'll be back next week for some more Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks points races.